And we are live. This is Travis from Carter Cow Capital, helping you fight for your financial freedom through. And we are live. This is Travis from. Would be nice if I. There we go. um, okay, and we are live. This is Travis from Carter Cow Capital, helping you fight for your financial freedom throughout the Forex market. This is another episode of Trade with Travis live stream as we go through and be able to take a look at some overall trades. This is a little bit earlier than what I typically do. I have to be able to run out of here a little bit quickly, so I want to make sure I end up going through the video and get some good information out there for y'all. Obviously, some trading opportunities before we end up having this large day that's going to end up happening, and then obviously. For the people that are looking at the red brand, you can be able to take a look at the links and everything else that are provided in there. So you can be able to get more information about the economic calendar and everything else like that. And obviously, over the people on TradeView, obviously you can be able to see everything as we end up placing it in live and being able to go from there. So let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and go through the disclaimer. And then from there, we'll go ahead and get rocking. So I'm not a CTA, so I'm not going to tell you whether to buy or to sell. What I'm going to do is teach you education, and from the education, you can be able to make your own informed decision. Now, understand that trading involves risk. It involves risk of being able to make money. Also involves risk of being able to lose money. So please keep that in mind. And understand that past performance is not indicative of future results, which means that if you end up making money yesterday, it's not promised that you'll end up making money today. So with that being said, I'm typing in hi. Hopefully everybody's doing very well. Hopefully everybody ended up having a very good green day yesterday when it came down to trading. We ended up doing pretty well when it came down to US yen based off of that big pop that ended up happening to the downside. But from there, we are going through and taking a look at everything else that's kind of playing itself out overall. So economic calendar, what is happening on this today? We take a look at fxstreet.com and be able to take a look at it. I'm going to place that inside of the chat box so people that don't necessarily know where I end up taking a look at that at, you can be able to take a look at it from there and be able to see that. Today is the biggest day of this week overall. We're going to end up having CPIs that just came out from the pound. They end up having pretty good news when it came down to that overall. We'll see what happened with pound United States dollar. Retail sales it's going to end up coming out at 8:30. CPIs are going to end up coming out for the Canadian dollar at 8:30 as well. Then after that, we're going to have monetary policy report hearings at 9:15. So the pound's going to end up being very active today overall, in which it probably already is. And then after that, we're going to end up having unemployment change and the unemployment rate from Australia. That's going to end up happening. And then after that, going into Thursday and going into the Friday, the market's going to end up being a little bit light. So just have to keep that in mind as we go through and be able to take a look at these overall pairs and be able to go from there. So hopefully everybody's doing very well. I'm going to end up placing this link inside of, let's see, make sure everybody can be able to see it. Bam. And sorry about that. I want to make sure that I can get through this real quick. Bam. Got a few people live on here right now. Hopefully everybody can be able to see it. Typically, I typically end up starting at a different time. So this will be the first time in a while that I've actually started this early. But if you are here, thanks for being able to support, like always, for the people that are already a part of the community. Thanks for being able to support. For the people that have been, or for the new people that have been joining. Obviously, the community has been growing and been trying our best to be able to make sure that we can be able to get over that 1K number. I'm going to be honest. If I end up getting over 1K on TradingView, one, that'll be the first time I've went over 1K when it came down to anything for it's like a community group. So it's actually a huge feat for me. I don't know if people kind of pay attention to that stuff, but it is a huge feat for me for being able to get that done. So kind of pushing towards that. That's a goal. And then after that, once we go to 1K, then hopefully we can be able to do the 2 and 4 and everything else like that. But just trying to build up from there. All right, so we took a look at that. We know what's happening from an economic calendar standpoint. Let's go to smart trading and see what's happening overall. We're going to start off with Bitcoin because it's the first thing that ended up popping up on my screen. And then after that, we'll end up going from there. Essentially, what has happened is this. We talked about yesterday how this market was basically in a diamond pattern in our overall session. Arizine, what's going on? Hope everything's going well. I didn't expect anybody to be on. Hope everything's going well with you. With this being inside of a diamond pattern, remember, anytime that you see a diamond pattern, it's a 50-50 move on either side. But what could happen potentially based off that movement is that the drop down on a diamond pattern is typically a little bit more drastic than it is a triangle. And I wanted to make sure that I end up showing that triangle before. We end up having a pretty drastic drop down, and where it end up falling down to support at 15,800. We may end up seeing that same thing actually end up happening based off of this movement. Now, if we end up seeing this market kind of fall down to support, which will end up being, or a mini support, which will end up being right around 615. But if it does fall down to that, then after that, it turns into box consolidation. But overall, it's been showing a little bit more of a diamond type of move. So here we go. With this movement, Bitcoin, I'm still not doing anything off of it. I don't feel like there's a great move to be able to make off of this yet. Obviously, you've been around me for a while. You know that I like being able to trade consolidation, supports, and resistance. I don't like being able to trade in the middle. That's just not my thing. I lose too much money in it. There's a 33% chance of being able to make money off of that when it comes down to that. Block, what's going on? Hope everything's going well with you. It's 6 p.m., I believe, right? If you know, you know. But I think it's what, 6 p.m. for you. So hopefully everything's going well with you. I've been up since literally 3. Yeah, I've been up since literally 3, trying to get some videos done, trying to put everything else together. Let's see. So U.S. dollar index, what's going on with the market? United States dollar index ended up showing that it had a chance to keep on pushing up to the upside in our 9 o'clock session. Then after that, dropped to the downside, broke the counter trend line break, and kept on falling. Let's see. While working's HT. Oh, yeah. Hey, man, the hard work pays off at some point in time. It's going to pay off at some point in time. I will say that. Between this, creating a new YouTube channel and everything else like that, it's going to end up paying off. I'm just sowing the seeds. We'll see how everything kind of plays from there. But United States dollar index, let's go from a daily perspective first, and then after that we'll kind of go from there. D extension already been hit. D extension got hit at 1370. 1367, fell all the way down to 12,975, and then after that started to push from there. Now, as the market is flowing through at this particular point, we know that retail sales are going to end up coming out today. So that may end up giving the United States dollar a little bit of relief. But keep this in mind, it's based off of October sales. So typically October is one of those months where it can be hit or miss. So this may be another start of a huge fall down when it comes down to this movement. You got to keep in mind, since December of last year, the United States dollar has been pushing to the upside, and has been making a huge rally. So this may be finally that retracement that the market kind of needs to be able to kind of make its move. Now, it ended up hitting this first position right here, which I'm going to have in red. What's going on? Hope everything. Thanks for the coins. I do appreciate that. We'll see that the market fell down to 12,970. So the next portion of where the market could fall down to, just based off support resistance, is probably going to end up being right around here, which end up being at 12,835. I'm going to say 12,840, just to make it a little bit more of a whole number. But more than likely, it probably end up being 12,850. Let me see if I can plug that in and see what happens. Yeah, 12,850 will probably end up being going for now. People are tax harvesting. That makes sense. You want to be, well, no. I mean, because the interest rate is going up a little bit higher. I wouldn't necessarily look at being able to take profit off of it right now, based off of that. If you were going to do that, you should have did that last year when the interest rates were a little bit lower. But I see what you're saying. Even though, especially if interest rates go a little bit higher, tax season is going to be crazy this year. I will say that. So nothing right now. Nothing right now in United States dollar index. We're going to end up kind of waiting to see how that kind of reacts. Remember, 15-minute rule is going to end up applying today. Make sure that you're out of your pairs before 15 minutes. 15 minutes before the market actually starts. Don't take any moves until 15 minutes after the news actually happens. That's on pretty much most pairs today. All right, so keep that in mind, everybody. Oil still in consolidation. We got in at 80. We got in at 86 a while ago. Pushed it all the way up to 93. Currently, right now, it's back inside of this consolidation. It's really nothing to be able to do until the market actually ends up breaking above 94, or 93.60, or falling below 82.40. Remember, we're still in the cold season, so I still think that we're probably going to end up seeing the market kind of push to the upside. So I am interested in being able to buy, then sell. I think the DXY is going to make a head and shoulders pattern and jump up in this area. More than likely, it probably will, Arizona, only because there has to be some type of retracement. I mean, obviously, we're not seeing the market kind of fall over the course of the last 10 to 11 days. So there's going to end up being some type of retracement that's going to happen. Now, the question is that retracement going to end up being a full retracement when we finally see the market start to be able to move, or are we going to see that going into this quarter that the United States dollar is just going to end up being weak? I think it's probably going to end up being the latter, if I'm being honest. I think that the market is just going to end up being weak, and finally other countries are going to finally kind of catch up. We talked about Japan. We talked about the Japanese yen. We talked about the pounds. We talked about the eurozone on pairs that had to be able to get a little bit of a U-turn a few weeks ago, and we've been taking advantage of the Japanese yen. Haven't been taking that much advantage of the eurozone, which is my fault more than anything else, because I have automation systems. I just haven't plugged them in yet on that one. So gold, what's happening currently right now? We have a consolidation over top of a consolidation at this particular point. I think this is waiting based off of retail sales to be able to see what happens. Any bad news based off of what's happening with the United States dollar, we may see a breakout, and then this market will finish that the extension, which is at 1800. It's in the sell zone, so it is. I mean, so we are looking at a position to where this market could be. What's the best way to say it? I think that you having diminishing returns trying to be able to jump in right now. I'm probably not going to jump in either way based off of this movement, because if you take a look at it, when the market fell, and I can get rid of this now. Let's see, I can get rid of. Well, no, let me make this a lighter color. Get rid of that. We did that sale. That is over with. Get rid of that. Get rid of counter trend line breaks. That's over with. I think that we're seeing probably just more diminishing returns than anything else. The market fell all the way down to the 8.6, which meant that the D extension was at 17.49, and that was the reason why we got out of that trade the second time right here in this position. As the market keeps on pushing up, obviously we keep on seeing subtle weaknesses, but the market is going to have a little bit of a retracement first before being able to make any type of move. So even just considering this long-term consolidation that we end up having, you end up having a breakout in this position that has not been a retest yet. So I do think that the market will at some point retest the 1740 area before being able to pop up. That will be the time where I'll look at being able to jump in on gold. Currently, right now, I'm not interested in being able to do anything. Even though we did break the area, I think that the market could pop back up to that 1800 area first before actually falling down. But now we go back into that long-term consolidation that we ended up talking about before. So gold is just going to gold at this particular point, if that makes sense. There's nothing that I'll be interested in right now at this point. Let's go ahead and jump into our other charts and be able to go from there. And now we can finally be able to take a look at NOS 100 US 30, and be able to go from there. XPIV. Let me go through XPIV real quick. It'd be real quick. Going into the open, look for a counter trend line break. This market is finally ended up breaking out of this $6 area, forces overall consolidation. Once this market ends up breaking up to the upside, we may end up seeing that this market could be able to move all the way up to if it remains to be above $9, they have the chance to be able to get up to 11. So just keep that in mind, especially for the people that are actually kind of taking this one a little bit more seriously than others, like Steve from SoCal and a few other people like that. So there's a counter trend line break. If it stays above this overall number, then it has a good chance of being able to get up to that $11 number. There you go, Steve. Obviously, I know you'll catch it in the night session, and we end up going from there. US 30. US 30 is back inside of consolidation. We ended up placing in 2 orders last night. We're going to go through those orders right now so everybody can be aware of what those orders are. Got an order at 33,980 with a take profit of 34,210. When it comes down to that movement, that's if the market ends up breaking up to the upside. If the market breaks to the downside and falls from this natural support area, then we're looking at 33,300. All the way down to 32, basically 3,300, with 33,000. The reason why I'm saying 33,000 is because if you look at that, that will be the past resistance term future support based off of this movement. If it breaks up to the upside, we go based off of the hour using the vortex strategy. That will end up being the top of that overall consolidation high that we end up having back in August. So remember, we've been breaking a lot of blocks of consolidation that end up happening over the summertime while the market was consolidating and basically falling inside of vortex areas. Now, I think we're starting to be able to get that movement to the upside and starting to push back up into those areas. So that will be something to be able to pay attention to overall. From there, Lord knows what's going to end up happening. I think that there could be a bigger drop and a bigger retracement from that area. More than likely, you may end up seeing a couple more sellers kind of jump inside of the market and try to see if the market's going to fall. We got to keep in mind if what's the best way to say it? If the United States dollar starts to get a little bit stronger, then obviously we will see this market start to fall overall, and kind of go from there. So that's where we're at when it comes down to Dow Jones. We have not took a look at DAX in a while. Typically, German 40 is one of my favorite pairs. So let me take a look at that. And then after that, we talked about Bitcoin, correct? I believe we talked about Bitcoin. Lock, did we talk about Bitcoin? I'm almost for certain we talked about Bitcoin. I think we did. Either way, so German 40 is kind of giving the same type of feel that I talked about or I just talked about with Nas 100. It's pushing up towards these overall highs that end up happening in this case, in June, where the resistance was 14,610. Currently, right now, the market ended up getting up to the 14,400 area, which was the bottom of that support level. If it breaks above that area again, then that means that the market will get up to 14,610 as a level of being able to have some type of resistance. So that is the point that I want to be able to pay attention to. Now, overall, what is happening? The market has had a big push to the upside. We're starting to see consolidation. That gives me way more signs of the market falling than it is to the upside for us being able to buy. So keep this in mind. We went through this high volume node, and that was one of the trades that we ended up talking about last week. See if I can show this a little bit better. That move started right here at 13,300. That was the first move that we ended up getting into. We didn't place in that second order above 13,740, and I'm kind of upset that we didn't. But overall, the question is, where would this market fall down to ultimately? If the market falls down in this area, there's 2 areas. Market can fall down to 14,100. That's based off of the previous high volume node. And from there, if we take that away and just take a look at what's been happening over the course of the last 4 months, another good landing spot will end up being at 13,760. 13,760 will end up being out there. So we're talking about the market falls down. Based off of that, it could fill up a spot right there, basically retesting that overall area, and then after that, kind of make a decision on what the market's going to end up doing overall. Now, that's going to end up being based off of what's happening with Germany. So Obviously, that would be a little bit more eurozone based. We haven't took a look at the euro versus United States dollar. We will take a look at that in a brief second, and then after that, we'll take a look at what's happening with the pound and kind of go from there. But overall, the market is getting a little bit more erratic because it doesn't know what it wants to be able to do right here at this point. I don't think that it has any more room to be able to push up without being able to break a very new high, aside from that 15,594 area that we just talked about. So I would like to see this market kind of have a couple more days of consolidation before really being able to make any type of move. But remember, the longer the consolidation, the bigger the move outside of this overall area. So this move started on the 10th. We've been in 5 days of consolidation. At this particular point, there's a natural support of 14,150. There's a natural resistance of 14,429. So we can go ahead and actually start being able to plug in a idea at this particular point. If we want to be a little bit more conservative, we can say that that is the low right there. And make this our pending order. So pending order will end up being at 14,000. If you want to be safe, 14,140. Based off of that, if y'all notice, there's a very large low volume node that was taken advantage of right here when it came down to that position. We'll basically want to be able to fulfill that overall position again to the downside if that was to happen. Or at least try to get a good portion of that movement back based off of that. So I'm going to say 13,730 will end up being a potential take profit area right there. So here be something down to that aspect right there. Now, stop loss. We do not know what the stop loss is at this particular point because the market has not made a U-turn down here at the bottom. But if I'm going to project, I'm going to project based off of this overall high right here and go above that and go above this high right here. So I'm going to end up saying that it'll probably end up being at 12,250, which will end up being 110 points for the overall risk. With a reward of 407 points to the downside. So if that happens, that would be the downside move. To the upside, to the upside, if the market ends up breaking, we have some outliers. But okay, I'm going to be conservative. Should I be conservative on this one? Yeah, I probably should. I'm going to say 14,420. With a take profit of 14,595, or you can say 14,600. Stop loss, I'm going to end up placing just below this overall dip right here. But once again, we won't know that until it truly gives us a better chance, and I'll update that as we go along and place that in on our idea page, on my idea page, so you can be able to take a look at that overall. But a 1 to 2 risk reward ratio down here, 1 to 3.7 risk reward ratio down there. I'm going to go ahead and place in these trades and be able to plug that in. That is truly the only trade that I see today, at least for right now at this particular point. So they give me a good chance to be able to review the trades that we're in. US yen, we are in a sell trade. Actually, that's based off of the SkyMax system, the automated system. Ended up getting in at 139.30 yesterday. Market ended up having a big fall yesterday based off of that movement, and I end up manually exiting off of a portion of that trade when the market fell down right here. Since then, it's done to hold this support, and as long as it's inside of the middle of support, I would not recommend getting inside of any other trade right now at this particular point. So right now, I'm going to say hold off on that one. I will give a little bit more information a little bit later on today. If I want to see how this market kind of builds up from there. Pound United States dollar. Evidently, we must have had a little bit of good news. There was a spike to the upside that must have happened at 2. No, that happened at 8:30. So the market's been in consolidation. It's waiting for retail sales, I guess, before being able to make a move off of that one as well. So daily has made a full retracement. There's a D extension that is at 1.2197 for that overall push. Talked about that about 7 days ago when the market ended up basically, well, on the 3rd when the market actually ended up popping off of that inner trend line. I did not take a trade off of that inner trend line. I probably should have, but that's hindsight 2020. Taking a look at that. So not going to do anything off of that one as well. So I'm going to call it, but let's go ahead and place in this trade for German 40. For the people, hopefully the people that end up taking a look at US 30, you got that one set up as well. But I'm going to go ahead and plug this one in, and then after that, we'll go ahead and call it a day. And I'll see y'all a little bit later on. And hopefully everybody ends up having a good trading day, obviously. Let's see. Okay. Zoom in so I can see this a little bit better. Oh, one other thing. I am going to work on, I'm going to try to see if I can get some time today to be able to work on that. See if I can work on that script, or not the script, but see if I can work on those settings to be able to see if we can find low volume nodes. I kind of describe that a little bit later on if I can be able to figure out how to be able to do it. Let's see. One-click trading. So pending order to the upside, I have 14,420. Stop loss 14,350. Take profit. I'm going to say 14,590. Get out a little bit earlier. To me, the well is kind of running a little bit dry on the upside move, so I'm only going to go 2% on that one. And I do 2% toward the downside move as well. Okay, so pending orders placed in on that one. Short order will end up being at 14,140. Stop loss a little bit higher, 14,250. Take profit on this one will end up being at 13. I want to take a look at these numbers one more time. I want to get out a little bit earlier than that. Let's say 13,780. 13,780. Reason why I'm saying 13,780 is because I see a little bit more of an influx of volume in that area. So we do it right there. And 2% when it comes down to that trade. All right, both of those are plugged in. You like what we end up doing? Please make sure that you end up liking the card account. Please make sure that you end up boosting this overall video and everything else like that. Obviously, for the people that are on the red brand, taking a look at that. Obviously, please make sure that you end up doing your thing when it comes down to that. I do appreciate everyone being able to pop in. This is way earlier than what we would start. Actually, this would be the start time compared to us being able to end. So for the people that typically watch at this portion of the morning, there you go. And for the people a little bit later on today, remember, use 15-minute rule when it comes down to this. There's a lot of high impact news that's going to end up happening today. Like always, make sure that you end up planning your trade your plan. Remember, you got to be able to create your own luck. So you got to be a risk taker. All right, everyone, take it easy. Take it easy.